All right. So it looks like it's live right now,
Hmm.
and numbers ticking up. My name is Bruce, and you're with us on A Girl, a Guy, and a Movie for our episode of Spaceballs, a movie that Janet has never seen before, and I had to remedy that.
I
I had
saw
to,
it now.
yeah, you saw it. Um, this came out the year 1987. I remember wanting to see it, and I guess I got to ask you first. Are you going to show this to your grandkids or kids? Is this a movie you would?
Maybe if they were older and they seemed interested in something like that, I might, as a spoof from Star Wars. But to just say, "Hey, this is a great movie. I want you to watch it," no. It was funny in parts, but I didn't enjoy as much as I was hoping it would.
Yeah,
It didn't. It just didn't. It wasn't something I would really recommend to people for fun, for comedy.
yeah. This is a movie that I think it fits really well. If you're like, I'm a completionist, I got to see all the Mel Brooks movies. Like if somebody sees like History of the World Volume One, and then they watch Young Frankenstein, they're like, oh my god, it gets better. There's Blazing Saddles. It just like this movie is kind of after all of that, and it just no, it's got some funny parts to it, and it's we watched a good comedy week or two ago, and they're like, "Oh my god, it gets
Oops,
better."
sorry, I
There's
turned my
Blazing
phone on.
Saddles.
It always happens. I don't know why.
We're on brand. We're good. We're good. We always watch a. It seems like we watch a really fun, a really great movie, and then the next movie we watch, it's like, eh. And I kind of feel bad because we watched The Jerk last week.
Hmm.
The Jerk is a fantastic film,
Yeah, I
and
heard you laugh a lot when you were watching it.
I'm still talking about that movie.
Yeah, it was
But
good.
yeah, it's a great film. And I go to from that to Spaceballs. I'm like, Spaceballs was funny in parts. There's parts of the movie that I didn't laugh much, and I wanted to laugh through all this. It's a must see for any nerfer. Absolutely, Bill does a really good job in
Hmm.
this movie with what he has. He's an actor that reads a script. I don't feel he's like really super funny because if he
Hmm.
was really super funny, he would have been like improvapalooza, and he would have like started saying funny shit throughout the entire film. But we didn't get that, and it's it's kind of okay because I mean it's this is not the only time that Star Wars disappointed us. There was for me Return of the Jedi, which that movie I don't like. And there before that, that was the holiday special, which I'm too young to remember. But I I like what I thought about Spaceballs. Um, Comedy aside, I think the movie's great. I think the sets are good. I love
Hmm.
the miniature work. There's some really good miniature work. The first fucking like minute and a half where the Spaceball one flies by the camera and you just see all the details of the model they used. And
Yeah,
it's like, wow.
it definitely did not look like they lacked money. It
No.
seemed like they had plenty of money for costumes, sets, makeup, miniatures, locations, things like that. It didn't seem like they lacked any money. It was just and I loved Rick Moranis, and I really loved John Candy. They were two of the people that stood out for the whole movie to me when it came to the comedy part.
Yeah.
They're the two that I laughed at.
And they made this movie on a staggeringly low $22 million, almost 23. And they
That's really good
made
considering how many stars they put in there.
yeah, oh that was a budget I think was the stars, but like when I started
Yeah.
watching all the like the transitions and the miniature effects, that just surprised out. I mean, like that looks good. That still looks good. The fucking Mega Maid transformation still looks good.
Hmm.
I I was very surprised, and I just I gotta give it to Mel Brooks. Like this movie mostly holds up,
Well,
and
one thing thing that surprised me because I'd never seen this before, and I'd never really. I remember seeing John Candy dressed like a puppy dog or something, and the big giant hat, on T-shirts and different things like that that people would wear for Rick Moranis. But I didn't know anything about Joan Rivers' voice as for being the changed, transformed robot best friend for the princess or anything like that. So there was some things in it that I thought was, pretty cute. I can see where they got the, what was it? The Something of Oz or whatever, the one they did with Michael Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
I never saw that either, but I can see.
It
Was it a Mel Brooks movie too? See, I don't know. The Wiz. That's what it's called. But the thing, I could see a lot of similarities with all his other stuff that he's done. It was like they took all these different movies and they squashed them into one and then threw it on the screen, basically.
Mm-hmm.
That's basically what I got from this. It wasn't like it was specifically, separate or anything, like it had a story to tell, because basically there wasn't even a story. You know what I mean? It just seemed like random stuff all put together, and I don't know. I really didn't get into any of the script or anything like that. It was almost like going to a Broadway play, kind of like thing to me. So, it wasn't, I don't know. There wasn't really any ebb and flow really in the story behind why they were going to take the air, I don't know. I could see a lot of like,
they told you in the opening crawl, they'd squandered their planet's resources.
Yeah, I was trying to read that on my phone because I started watching it. I went to my computer after I was done getting dressed and everything, but at first I was watching it on my phone. It was really small, so I couldn't really see what that was being said. Oh, hi, Dave. I wasn't able to see that stuff. But if it wasn't for John Candy and Rick Moranis, I probably would never, probably would have made it through the movie if you honestly want to know, because I just didn't think it was very good when it came to any of the other supposed laughs. Like seeing all the dum-dums running around, just being afraid of Darth Vader's character or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
Helmet or whatever. What was his name in this again?
He was Panicking Crybaby. Dark Helmet. Yes.
On
the Wikipedia as Panicking Crybaby.
Yeah.
Which I thought that's fucking great. I never knew that. It was
really, really corny and lame. So many parts of it. I mean, I don't know. Did they use the same sets as some of the movies were made on? Because it looked a lot like
it, but no,
they didn't.
And for the fucking set design, they hired like the best. Oh, you're gonna hate me, racism counter, but they hired the best Jewish accountant to take the price down for the sets. But geez, those sets looked so good, and they didn't throw a lot of money at the sets. Like you can tell they spent good money on the sets. But they had Bill Pullman, John Candy, Daphne Zuniga, Joan Rivers, Rick Moranis.
Yeah, they had tons of stars. That's what I said. The whole budget must have been spent on the actors.
They had so much money in the fucking budget for the actors. Whatever they did with the set design, they must have brought in all their relatives and like, you're gonna work for peanuts. Don't even think about making no money here. It's a layoff anyway. You're gonna be out of work, and I'm gonna continue to work, and I'll pay for the nails. Get to work, you carpenter assholes.
But not just the sets, the costumes. I mean, it didn't look like they went cheap on anything to me. I mean, it wasn't cheap. It didn't look cheap. It didn't look, fraudulent. Even the scenes where there was miniatures and stuff, it all looked like they spent a lot of money making this movie. Even John Candy's costume, the detail on his face and, everything. And throughout the whole movie, he looked like they kept him looking like his character, you know what I mean? And that's makeup. That was a lot of that was makeup. It wasn't like he was wearing a mask, you know, like Rick Moranis has had a little shield he just dropped down.
Yeah.
You know? So I thought it was great. And what was the one guy that was playing his secondhand man? What
That's
was it?
George Winter. He played Colonel Sanders, the commander of Spaceball
Oh
One.
yeah, that guy. I've seen him in a lot of Mel Brooks movies before.
That guy is a talented man. He's
Yeah. So there was a lot of actors that I recognized in this movie. It just, you know, I was surprised every time I'd see a new one. And then when I realized that was Joan Rivers' voice, I was like, what? She was in this movie? I was surprised because I was shocked how many people that I didn't know were in it, because I knew that, you know, like the four main characters or whatever, Mel Brooks, Bill Pullman, you know, and what's his name, Rick Moranis, and John Candy. You know, I knew those four because those are the ones that everybody's talked about. But all the other people that just were here, there, and whatever, I was really surprised because I wasn't expecting so many stars. I mean, it was star-studded movie, the whole movie. And then at the ending parts, when they put the other little bits and pieces of other movies, you know, like when they crash landed, you know, and all that stuff. So there was a lot of comedy that was dotted through that I laughed out loud over because it was really funny. And I love the opening scene inside the RV with John Candy cooking in the kitchen. And what I saw what he was wearing, I couldn't stop laughing. It was hilarious. He was like a giant Ewok dog or something, and he was funny. You know, he's just naturally funny. He can just walk through a room and just make facial expressions and stuff, and people would laugh. I just know it. And same thing with Rick Moranis. So having them two in it is what made the movie for me. That made it even, you know, enjoyable at all. So they're two people that just are funny, no matter how shitty of a role they might have. You can't help but laugh at them because they're just so talented. At least that's how I saw it. Now, the girl that played the princess, you know, anybody could have played her part to me. I mean, I didn't think she was very memorable at all.
Definitely is that's the most memorable movie she's been in, unless you include the slasher film A Dorm That Dripped Blood. But that's it.
She looks familiar to me. I just couldn't.
Did you ever see The Sure Thing with John Cusack?
I think I saw that, but it was one of those movies. Was it a romance comedy or something?
It's a summer comedy thing.
Okay, well then it was something my sisters wanted to watch, and I just watched it with them. And that's probably why I don't remember that much about it, because that's what they like. That, you know, the something of the traveling pants and stupid shit like that. That's what my sisters like. So it's not my type of stuff, but I have watched stuff like that because that's what they want.
She was also in the really bad sequel, The Fly Part 2, with Eric Stoltz. Mm-hmm. And that's like the most popular shit she did was Spaceballs, I think, because that's the one that everybody saw her. That's the movie that when I'm looking at her list,
okay, but I just didn't think she was memorable. I mean, she just, you know, and you know, Bill's part was okay. There was some okay lines in it, but it was almost like when John Candy walked into the, I guess the what's the pilot part of it, their little RV, right? Mm-hmm. Where he was in the front. And when he walked in, asking if he wanted some of that food, that was funny. But then it was like when he was sitting in his chair, except that whole scene seemed like it was a skit on Saturday Night Live. Yeah. It was so, you know, just not, I don't know. It just was not very impressive to me. That scene was not, he just didn't seem like he was that happy to be in that movie. To me, as he was in Independence Day. See, he kicked ass in that movie. And I was expecting, when I saw who it was, I was expecting something like that, more, I don't know, more believable or something. So I didn't think he was that impressive in that part either. I mean, he did good. He wasn't at the bottom. But John Candy and Rick Moranis were at the very top of this movie. To me, they were the two that made the movie even bearable and funny. They're the ones
I think her film career like the Sure Thing and Spaceballs are what people mostly recognize her from. But you're right. I mean, her character was fairly much kind of blasé.
Mm-hmm.
She's funny, but there could like the part where she's got her little space headphones on. I laughed at that.
Yeah, that part where she's in the ship when she's leaving. Yeah, when she took that off, I was like, damn, I wish I could have done that with my hair. That would be cute, but I didn't have, I didn't have any time to do that because I hadn't seen the movie, so I didn't realize that was a cute prop though. I love that. Thought that was
7 years later, John Candy died. That sucked.
Yeah, I know. I loved him and Uncle Buck in so many movies. We could do a whole month just do his movies.
Season.
And he's just so good.
Dozen movies that John Candy was in that I would get vehemently opposed to any remake they tried to do. Like if somebody tried to remake Planes, Trains, and Automobiles,
Mm-hmm.
I would be just as pissed off as whenever The Last Jedi was in theaters. And
Mm-hmm.
you gonna go see that movie? Yeah, go fuck yourself.
Yeah. He's just iconic. I mean, he's just good at everything he did. I never saw him in a role where he wasn't good. I mean, he was good in this movie. And so was Rick Moranis. Even though the movie wasn't good, they were good. They were talented.
I'm not going to say the movie wasn't good. Like, there's the
the movie was okay. It wasn't the worst movie. Believe me, it wasn't the worst. But it wasn't. It's lower on my totem pole than my normal stuff that I would have picked. But I remember what I said. I'm not a real big comedy person either. I don't watch very many comedies. Very few, like The Jerk.
That surprises me because you're such a funny person. I mean, your head.
I'm picky. You know what I mean? I'm very picky about when I go see stand up. If they got to be good, they got to make me laugh a lot. And if they don't, it's like, I won't go see them again. See, I'm very picky when it comes to comedy.
See, I bet you would. I bet you would enjoy Matt Rife.
I don't know who he is, but I probably would if he was really funny.
I
love good stand-up. Somebody who's like fast, like Jeff Foxworthy. He knows how to talk to the crowd. He just knows what he's doing. Ron White, I love him. I've seen a lot of good comedians. Dana Carvey, I saw him live as a church lady, and he was hilarious. So, I'm just saying, I'm really picky. I went and saw Damon Wayans, but I missed half of it because I went with my mom, and my mom was making noise the whole time, trying not to hear him because he was so dirty. So, it's just, just I like adult humor too. I think adult stand-up it's all grown-ups. I think that, I expect it to be funny and make fun of everybody.
Yeah, well, Tim Allen used to be a dirty comic, and then he had that TV show, Home Improvement. Yeah. He goes to do his first fucking stand-up, or the month after that show ends its first season, he's on stand-up circuit, and he starts to do the bits, and he sees nothing but kids in the audience, and they want to see Tim the Toolman Taylor, and he's like,
yeah.
I guess
that's my mom, when she won tickets to go see Damon Wayans, she liked his show. Was it called Mom and My Wife and Kids or something? And she was like, I want to go see Damon Wayans. And I was like, Mom, his stand-up is not like on TV. She was like, I don't care. I want to go see him. So we went. She was like, that was terrible. She hated it. But I laughed at my mom through the whole thing because she could not believe what she was hearing. And it changed her whole perspective on him. But, that's what you got to, that he's good. He's good at what he does.
There's nothing wrong with being dirty, Kronos.
No.
There's time and place for everything.
It just, my mom was not expecting that. She was expecting what she saw on television, and she got the FF and GD and the fuck and all the other languages. She was not expecting it. So yeah, it's overwhelming for some people. But when I buy a ticket, I expect to be entertained, when I'm there and get my money.
Trying to make you feel a little better. Rick Moranis did not retire from acting. His wife died, so he took time off to be a dad.
Aww.
Yeah, he's a real man. His wife died around 2007 or 2008.
What happened to her?
I don't know. She died, and then he went and did an episode of the Goldbergs. Then he's doing some stuff for Ryan Reynolds' Mint Mobile. and now he's got the pre-production set up for Shrunk, which is the same character he had for Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, I believe.
I thought they made 2 of those movies.
Yeah, Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves. There's another. Oh yeah, Bob and Doug McKenzie's 2-4 anniversary. Yeah, that was good. Wayne Selinsky. Yeah, this is supposed to be a sequel or in a trilogy of Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Honey, I Shrunk the Audience.
I blew up the kid. Yes,
Yeah.
quite a few of them.
It's a Disney property, so I expect there to be thousands of these.
Yeah, I loved him in Ghostbusters as the dorky nerd, accountant or whatever it was. He had that job. I just thought he was great in that movie. He was just really, really funny, and I laughed a lot in Ghostbusters. It was really good, funny comedy. And it's hard to beat when you watch really good stuff like that and then watch something like this. Just like you said, compared to his other movies, Mel Brooks movies, it just wasn't up there.
Yeah, like I'll give my rating early. I'm giving this movie a 65 out of 100. It almost passes like in 1980s. 65 out of 100 on a report card would be, oh, you failed. But in 1990s, we had to start padding shit. So 69 or less or 65 to 72 is now a D. And I consider this movie a D because it has its parts, but the entire thing just doesn't come together. It's a weak script. It really is. The comedy should have hit. There's a lot of funny in Mel Brooks, and you can't tell me he used up all of it. But then again, I haven't watched it.
That was where I saw fault, is that it was like I said, it didn't seem like there was an actual script. It was just they just took a bunch of this, that, and the other and then threw it out there. And it was very cluttered, cluttered. It wasn't, there was like 1 or 2 parts, like the whole scene where he's cooking and stuff in the RV, all of that. And then the scene in the diner, and then a few other little scenes here and there seemed like actual script writing or whatever. Yeah. But then the rest, it just seemed like they took whatever jokes, as many slapstick, put every single slapstick you can think of in this one scene or something like that. That's what it seemed like. It was jumbled and, crushed together, like just get some Play-Doh and cram it all together and stick it over there and put it in that egg for some kid. That's basically what I felt throughout most of the movie, except certain scenes that had John Candy in it, and then other scenes with Rick Moranis that were good. Like the scene where at the end where they had Mel Brooks dressed up as like yoga or whatever they called him. Yogurt. I just thought, it was just they went through a lot of stuff to get him dressed up and everything. It's just that it was so worn out by then, that it wasn't as funny as it could have been if you'd actually had a better script leading up to that character or something. I don't know. It just didn't bowl me over like I was hoping it would.
That's the big problem about it. That was a problem back in '87 when critics kind of dissuaded my parents from spending money on it. And when I saw it in '89, I laughed a lot, but it wasn't as funny as I thought it could be. And my dad's like, "Well, write a better script." And I tried, but I couldn't write a better script. And so I just was like, "I'm 14. I can't. It's fine, whatever." But for what we got, I got some really good parody stuff out of this. This has an alien bit. This has the My Baby bit with following the alien emerging from William Hurt's.
That was funny.
That was
when the spotlight went on it and it put a little hat on and started doing the whole scene that you saw. I remembered it was from a cartoon, from a Bugs Bunny cartoon where this singing frog bit.
Yeah.
That's what it reminded me of. I don't know if that's what it was supposed to be, but that was the only thing that I thought of when I saw it. And I was like, that is funny. Now, see, that took you away from the rest of the stuff, and it was funny and corny at the same time. But that's what I was expecting throughout the movie. But I had big gaps where there wasn't anything. It was like they were just added seconds for no reason, just to add time to the movie instead of trying to put something in it. They'd have like 5 or 6 slapstick things all crammed together, and then they had like 10 minutes with nothing. I don't know. It just didn't flow very well for me.
Yeah,
Having flow was off.
this is something I found funny.
Yeah, I think that's great right there. That whole thing.
This was designed by ILM. ILM did a lot of the transitions. So they put the Millennium Falcon in the movie.
Yeah. Little things like that is what made it really good. But I loved the fact that they had a like an old Winnebago that they'd made into a ship. I thought that was so funny. I laughed at that at the very beginning when I first saw it. I was like, this is going to be good. And it kind of was like, I didn't watch a trailer for it because I didn't want to set myself up for failure or anything. I didn't want to watch anything. So I tried not to look at anything or read anything or anything to understand what was going to happen. But have you ever watched a trailer of a movie and you're like, oh my God, it's so pumped, it's going to be great. And then you go see it and there's nothing more than what was in the trailer in the movie. And you just go, what? All I had to do was watch the trailer and I already know the whole movie. So I hate it when I leave a movie and I feel like that. And to me, they had a plethora, a buffet laid out in front of you with all these great scenery, costumes, actors. I mean, all that stuff. And they didn't have a script. You know what I mean? It had everything. The editing was even good because it flowed and the music and everything went together well. Except it didn't have substance. It just had there's no plot. There was no, it was just lame. The script was lame. It was like a nothing burger. If they'd had a script with that many talented people, it could have been kick butt. I mean, I really think so.
Now, George Lucas, because of him liking the movie so much and adding his production company to help with the transitions and some of the transitional set design, the agreement was made that not a single dime of this movie could be made from merchandising. They could joke a fuck about it. They could joke about it till the cows came home, but there were not going to be any Lone Star or dot matrix dolls at the store. You just couldn't buy them.
Yeah.
If anybody ever shows you they've got a Lone Star doll, they have kit bashed it. They have done more work than anybody at Kenner could have, because they have taken their love and turned it into sweat and tears and made it their own, which is fantastic. But you aren't going to see a Eagle One at the store next to the Millennium Falcon. They agreed not to do that. The two jokes that Mel Brooks was happiest about is Spaceballs, the breakfast cereal, and Spaceballs, the t-shirt. All the merchandising jokes they had in this film. And then
there
were the fact that he was able to, like, hey, let's get a mock-up of a VHS tape and have that on the shelf. And he was like, those are the things that he loved the most. What Mel Brooks hated was the fucking the makeup for Yogurt, the gold stuff, gave him a rash. They had to film all that stuff out of sequence.
Yeah, but that they made. I mean, but see, the stuff is they had everything they needed to make it a great movie, because they had all the behind the scenes whatever that Mel Brooks just comes up with. Okay, because he's one of those people that can see something and something funny will pop in his head because of it. You know, unlike most people. Like John Candy, I guarantee that John Candy could see anything and make comedy out of it. I mean, he's just that talented. Okay, that's the kind of person he was. To have him, Rick Moranis, and Mel Brooks together, and then have it be that dull, it was shocking to me, because I was expecting more from it just because of those different people that were in it. But all I saw was the same lame thing over and over again. It was like they were beating a dead horse with the same boring slapstick. You can only watch so many, people tripping on a banana, like someone sliding on a banana, and then it happens every 2 minutes. You kind of get sick of seeing it by the end of the movie. And that's kind of how I felt about some of the scenes with the dumb stormtroopers, now the asshole stuff, that was funny.
Yeah.
When one guy goes, "Who's this asshole?" And he goes, "Well, I'm so-and-so asshole." See, that whole thing that went along. Now that was funny, but that took time to write down on paper. And then everybody in the back, because, like what was it? The Clone Wars, they were all related because they're all clones. So that's what made that funny for people that know Star Wars.
That's a joke that happened after the fact, because this movie was made long before the Clone Wars.
Yeah, I know. But what I'm saying, I watched it years and years later. I wouldn't know that wasn't connected to that, is what I mean.
Yeah.
Because it was funny, because all of them were related, you see. The little things like that is what made it funny. And it could have had way more in that if he'd spent time on the script to fill in all those gaps, because there was so many gaps where, just like you said earlier, that you went through periods of time where you didn't laugh or anything, because it was like, you're waiting for something and it doesn't happen. So that was what I was saying. And they didn't, and the fact that the two romantic characters really didn't have any chemistry either, that was sad for me, because I was hoping there would be a spark, like when they were arguing about, I don't want to see him, he's going to be a short, ugly guy or whatever. And then he was saying she's going to have buck teeth and whatever else. And then they see each other and they're both shocked that they're not dogs, that they're actually attractive. I was hoping to have some kind of, go off, but I didn't see any. So, but I'm not saying it wasn't. It's just my point of view. I'm not trying to take it away from anyone else. I'm just giving you my perspective of what I just watched. And I just was wanting more there that wasn't there. So, not trying to be too bad, but can't help it, especially comedy. Comedy is one of the hardest movies to make, it really is, because you've got so many people to please. From different perspectives of, like I said, I thought Jackass sucked. All the TV shows, Jackass TV shows, I never really liked them. But almost all my friends thought, "Oh my God, that's the funniest show on television." I'm like, what? But I loved The Man Show. I thought The Man Show was freaking genius. And I loved it. I thought it was great. The girls on trampolines in slow motion, jumping, just dumb, corny shit like that. But it was funny, and it hit just at the right place, it was like it's supposed to get you to laugh about it. So it was like in time, you have to have a routine about how you lay it out to build up to the laugh. And it just seemed like I kept waiting. There was a build up, but then nothing. I don't know. I just was a little bit disappointed over that part of it.
Yeah. This movie, it's not in my favorite comedies. It's nowhere near the top. It's nowhere near the top 20. But is this a movie that's fairly important in the scheme of things? Not really, but it's still got some stuff in there that it elevates it above the standard comedy, because it does a very good job of just set design, costuming. And Mel Brooks has his hand on so much in this film that you can see the care he's got. It's just, I don't know, what was the design behind the script writer, being whoever wrote the script. They had some good ideas, but there's also 40 pages of shit that just don't really translate well. And
it was like a person had a script or something, or had an idea for a script. And they sat down in a room, like sometimes when they do these comedy shows at night with these skits and things like that. If you ever watch some of the documentaries on Saturday Night Live, from the beginning on through, about how they just sit around and they're all throwing ideas out there, and they come up with different ideas. And some of them are real big hits, and then others are not. I
thought you were going to talk about where John Belushi's playing Beethoven, and there's a pile of cocaine on the piano. And then he's playing the piano and he snorts cocaine, and the audience laughs because they get the joke. But John Belushi also likes snorting cocaine.
Yeah.
So there's Like I thought you were going to talk about that side of
Yeah,
right
stuff
now.
like that though is what I mean. Is that you got a room of people, like 7 or 8 people, and they're all sitting around throwing ideas out there, and then they're taking notes and stuff. And then by the halfway through the thing, someone will say, "Yeah, this is a great thing. Let's write a script around, or a skit for that, or let's write a skit for this." And then they'll sit and work together, and you have 5 or 6 people putting information in to write the skit, which is a short script, right? That's what it is, because you're going in, you're acting out whatever it is. And then sometimes it's really funny, like they ended up with cone heads. And then you had the one where what was his name? Chevy Chase or whatever would grab her and rub her head, give her a noogie or whatever. These little things, just like on Mad TV when they came up with Stewart and the mother. You don't know what's going to hit until you get it written and you get it out there, and it's whether the people latch onto it or not, the people that are watching the show. But the thing is, this one, it seemed like they had all these ideas, but nobody latched onto anything to expand it. They just kind of took that group of little slapstick stuff and threw it in there and mixed it in, instead of making more of a story around it or something. I don't know. It was like it fell flat in a lot of the areas in the movie. Now, there were a lot of good things that I thought were really funny, but to me, that just it brought the movie down so many notches that it was hard for me to get back up to the laughing where I was after the scene with me laughing and him cooking in the RV and everything, and seeing him and stuff. I couldn't get that high back again. It was really hard for me to get back there again. So, and the whole scene with the lightsabers, and he called them noodles or whatever it was, because they made so much fun of Jews. There was so much Jewish picking on Jews comedy in that a whole bunch of stuff in that movie that they did. So you couldn't do that today. You couldn't make a lot of these jokes that they made in this movie, but it was funny. The whole thing with the penis, the way they held their lightsaber and it came out.
Yeah.
I thought it was funny.
I
Slapstick.
I didn't have a problem with the penis jokes or the Jewish jokes or
no, I didn't either. I was
just Mel Brooks is a fucking comedy maestro, and the guy has made his bones making fun of everybody, which is great. I think that's what a real comedian does, where they just like take funny stuff and they like verbalize it. They put it out there. And I think that's the crime of 2023 and 2020s in general, where we've criminalized making fun of certain people, because heaven forbid, some people might be in a fucking sacred cow club. And that's the last thing that you need in a society. I mean, no wonder we have so many problems going on in America today. We can't make fun of the dumb shit we see all the time, because
I know
the people doing the dumb shit are in charge.
Now, that was what was refreshing to me in a lot of this movie. I was waiting for more, wanting more. I felt like I was at the bar going, every time he'd walk by going, trying to get his attention to get me a drink, and he just kept passing me up. That's how I felt. I just felt like I was left hanging, wanting more of something to happen, and then nothing did happen. That was sad, because with the talent that was in this movie, I was just expecting something more. And that I was kind of a letdown on that part of it, especially since it was Mel Brooks, I don't know. I just was hoping for more and left with nothing. I mean, to me, that was bad, especially since Star Wars, how many movies had come out? It was like there was 2, right?
There was 3 at this point.
Okay, there was. Okay, I thought there was only 2, but the thing is that they had plenty of material to write a good script that could have been really funny. I mean, to me, Ice Pirates was like way higher on the laughing Richter scale than this movie was, and that was, to me, that's sad, because John Candy deserved, and Rick Moranis together deserved, at least a 8. You know what I'm saying? For script, to me.
He draws.
So.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Power 9000. I only have so many hours to be awake on a Sunday, and I'm going to go to bed here very shortly. this movie got so many good parts to it. Just it frustrates me on a level of like
Mhm.
it's always frustrated me because Spaceballs is rife for like good comedy, and they could have even gone further with the Jews in space motif explored within History of the World Volume 2, and they were going to do Space Jews Part 2, and they kind of do here, which it's great, but at the same time, you have 15 minutes of funny in a 90-minute film, and
Mhm.
I wanted so much more. I'm not trying to be a picky bastard or a picky bitch, however you want to verbalize it, but like this movie, it has good set design, it has great costumes, the everything but the script. It everything but the script in this movie is great, but you get to where you're watching the film and it's just not the funny you wanted. You have minutes pass by without funny. It's like being on
I
a live stream and there's silence. Six people
Mhm.
on a panel and they're all just texting each other or playing Candy Crush. Like, fuck, I didn't pay for this.
Mhm. Yeah, I was hoping for more, but you know, can't can't just make it happen. It's because you want it to happen. I was expecting something else, but I never got it. So I'm definitely not going to rate this as high as I would, some other movie that did fill in the gaps, even if they weren't perfect. They tried to put something in there, and this one just seemed like it had too many lulls. You know, so that was sad.
And they tried to smash this movie and History of the World Volume 1 together and be like, okay, well this is the
Hmm.
sequel. It's like, no, 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 no. We could have done so much more.
Yeah,
And
yeah, they could have done.
thanks for stopping in, guys, with Machiny. And if you guys want to watch us to the end as we cry about lost opportunities, I mean, this is like we had Harrison Ford, Luke Skywalker, or Mark Hamill, Carrie
Hmm.
Fisher, and Billy D. Williams all alive, and we could have had them together in The Force Awakens to turn
Hmm.
over the entire mantle of Star Wars to those miserable non-talented actors, and we could have given them that, but we would have had at least an image of them in Millennium Falcon enjoying themselves for one last set together, and they just completely dropped the ball. This movie is about as much of a miss as The Force Awakens is for me. And that's why
Hmm.
I'm rating this movie a high 65. I pray I don't lower it any further because this movie it could be so much better. There's so many funny jokes that are out there, and they wasted the script on so many things. Joan Rivers is a comedy queen, and you could have just made half the movie of her walking around, and the mime that played Joan Rivers is not Matrix, the lady in the costume,
Uh-huh.
would have perfectly pantomimed everything and done it right if the script would have been good.
Yeah, I thought that her character was great. I thought it was refreshing. I wasn't expecting it, especially when I heard her voice come out of the robot, and some of the lines, like when she's in the desert and she's talking about getting sand in her joints and her
Interview.
crevices, and stuff like that. I just thought it was funny. And then she's like, oil, oil, when she was thirsty, and they did a good job giving her that character. I thought that was refreshing, and I thought it could have been comedic gold. I mean, it really could have, because you're right. There was that's why I said there was so many good actors in this movie. You had a buffet just sitting there waiting for you, and they did nothing with them. They didn't use them to their nth degree that they could have gotten from it, because it was just so much there. That's why I said the whole budget had to be spent just on the actors, because um, that's not very much money to make such a good movie with that many big comedy people in it, involved, and to have it not be that what is it? I'm gonna hide here for a bit.
Mocking is making him listen to screaming jackasses. Hey, Megatron.
Yeah, that was funny when they said Transformer
Yeah,
too. So I just I thought there was a lot of really good lines in this movie. It's just it didn't have a script to build up to it, to each of the lines to make them iconic type of thing. And I just saw a lot of wasted time and space that could have been way better, way more
And
successful.
I hate to sound like me and Janet are just beating up on one of your favorite childhood comedy movies, but we really are.
I'd never seen it before. See, that's the thing. I was after all these years hearing people talk about different scenes, I was expecting it to be just higher up. I'm not giving it as low as you. I'm going to give it a 7. And that is because the scenes were great. The scenery was awesome. The actors were phenomenal. Okay. And the costumes, the clothing, the hair, the miniatures, the special effects with the lightsabers and all the other stuff was great. It was all top notch. It didn't look cheap. It didn't look like a,
there's one other spot I'm going to ding it on.
Okay.
And that's the opening score that has the funny pew pew sound effects in it.
Oh, I told you it was hard for me at the very beginning because I was on my phone.
The first couple times you hear the pew pew, it's okay. The 30th time you hear the pew pew, you're like, all right, this is bad. This is like Last Jedi bad.
But you know what? Some of that, though, I think they did it intentionally, to make fun of it. So
they probably did. They did not have the good script money they didn't have the money for John Williams to come in and do his own signature sound, which would have been probably in complete juxtaposition for the rest of the movie.
Yeah, I was talking about that. Wolf Media was talking about it. I thought that was a great scene. And the asshole scene, who is this asshole? Oh, I'm so and so asshole.
Private asshole. That's major asshole.
Yeah, and then the whole back of the ship was filled with assholes, and because I'm surrounded by assholes. I thought it was great. So it had shining moments, but the whole movie should have been like that with the people that were in this movie and a director like him. It should have been way up there, and it wasn't. And that's what made me sad about it, is because they had a buffet, and they just put the lamest stuff on it instead of using the buffet to its maximum, and that's sad to me. I mean, it was just
this is like going to one of those like $35-$40 Brazilian buffets.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
expecting great. And they just bring chicken by. And like, no, I want
beef. Where's the beef?
Where's the beef at? And now we're back to Wendy's. But I mean, it's just this is a shining example of this. Like, sometimes you get a bad script, and I don't understand it. This movie is the worst Mel Brooks movie that people talk about, in my opinion. There's worse movies he's got. There really are. And I don't recommend High Anxiety. If you ever see High Anxiety, I tried to warn you. I did. I legitimately was like, no, don't see High Anxiety. That's really a bad movie. But if you deny me, if you decide to go see High Anxiety and it disappoints you, don't forget Bruce tried to tell you, like, hey, this is really a waste of your time. Because it's one thing to see an action movie that's not a lot of action. Like, sometimes the drama is good, or sometimes it can be unintentionally funny. Like, you have a real groaner of a schlocky film. But when you have a comedy movie fall flat, like, there's really not a lot you can do with comedy that's like just non-existent, because they're not being dramatic. They're not trying to do much else. It's just it's like you turned your television on to primetime programming in 2023. And they're just letting them go through motions. They're either DEI puppets, or they're people that are on an independent network, but they've got no talent to take whatever's in front of them and make it the funniest they can. And this movie should have had so many parts. It was just one missed portion after another. John Candy improvised a couple things. Like when he gets up and he's like, oh, that'll leave a mark. That's improvisation. That's really good improvisation.
He just talent gold. I mean,
yeah,
he just can't make bad choices. He's just good with anything he's handed. He just wasn't handed enough.
And
he just wasn't handed enough script to do more with it. But in every scene he was in, it was entertaining to me. And
and
almost every single scene Rick Moranis was in was entertaining
yeah,
for me.
you got the
He
dot
had
matrix
good
girls.
actors with bad scripts that did the best they could with it and made those scenes good.
Um, the part that I thought was funniest is that half the scenes where dot matrix is going around doing stuff, she's
Mhm.
got roller skates on.
Uh-huh. I know. I loved it. I thought it was awesome. And you could tell in a couple because she glided along. And what was the woman's name that played his the real hot blonde with the short hair that was looking at his wee wee when he was going to the bathroom?
I'll pull this up for you in just a
She
second.
was great. I loved her. I don't
Yeah.
remember who she was, but she did every scene she was in. She stole the scene. Basically, she was great at what she did. It's just that she wasn't in it enough, to fill in the other holes.
That's
That was
Leslie Bevis. Leslie Bevis plays
yeah,
Commander at Zircon.
yeah. She was
And
good.
she's
She was
an
talented.
amazing actress. The sad thing is, kids, like whenever you start looking at older films, you start seeing all these people that are like they're super hot in these roles. Well,
Uh-huh.
she was born in '54, so she's not a spring chicken, but
No,
she's
but she
got a
was good
lot.
at this movie.
She's just a very attractive, very striking woman. There she is. There, nice
Mhm.
little figure. There
But
she
see,
is.
look at that right there. That scene when she looks down while he's
That's work.
holding his
My
junk.
God.
That was so funny.
If Bridget Nelson was like a hot woman, this would be it
Uh-huh.
right here. And thank God for this one. This lady, like, she's that, like, that's come. There's a show of hands in the audience for men, like, yep, I'm fapping to that later. She's hot.
Yeah, she
And
was very attractive, and she was good.
yeah,
She was a good actress.
she was
So
in the short-lived show The Tortellis, which is the spinoff of Cheers that should have never happened.
yeah.
Carla and her husband at home, which is a bad idea. There she is again, looking like a rock star. She's on Murder She Wrote in '84.
Uh-huh.
Amazing, good blow dryer, good salon work. She's just a very striking woman. She's just one of those few ladies.
She's a good actress too. She was very believable at her character, even though it was a comedy.
Mm-hmm.
She seemed a very strong character, and she knew her business. She was like when she was talking to him and stuff, she stood her ground, but she was funny. See, too, the look on her face when she looked down and was looking at him while he was holding his penis, it was just funny. And she was fast,
Yeah.
and made the scene flow like it should. So those two bouncing off each other, when you have two good actors bouncing off each other, it makes a scene, it pulls you in. It's like I said, that's the scenes that I had a hard time with the ones where it was kind of like, like that, you were waiting for something, but it never happens, So I just thought that she was great. She did
And
it really.
I'm guilty of that myself. But as a streamer, I'm completely doing that myself as a streamer because, like, there's been plenty of times I've been running a game or been running a stream, and we ask something, and then there's like 10 seconds of silence.
Yeah.
Like you can see the dead squirrel falling out of the tree after he gets hit by lightning. There's
Yeah.
rock dead on the ground.
But
Fuck.
you don't expect that in a movie, okay?
No.
When it's live, you're going to have that. That just like Saturday Night Live or anything, you have these little pause that happens. That's normal. That's going to happen. But in a movie, it's supposed to be edited out. But they couldn't edit out all the lulls because then half the movie would have been gone.
And
So,
that's
you
the
know,
part.
you got to have something to put in there. And that's the part that was sad is that you had so much meat. Okay, you had so much meat out there on the buffet, except no one was allowed to get the meat. So it was like, oh, I guess I have to have fruit again. That's what it was like, and that's sad because the potential was there. It's just they didn't use it, and I don't know why they didn't. So I don't know. I was let down for that part of it.
I wanted this movie to be funny. I wanted this movie to be so much different than what it was, and it denied me, and it's been like that for over 30 years, and that's fine. I'll live with it, but I'm not super happy. And I want to see I want to see Mel Brooks, a funny Mel Brooks film that's more recent than this, because I don't know when the last funny movie he was made.
I don't know. I'd have to go through a list and this look, because there's a lot of things you just forget about because someone hadn't mentioned anything about it. So, but it just was sad because it was so much talent in this one movie that was wasted because there was so many lulls, where there was nothing, nothing to put in there because the script wasn't good. It was the script. I don't blame the actors for any of this. I blame the director and the script because they went limp. They ruined it. They took away the mood. The mood was there because I was laughing my ass off in that one scene. John Candy's cooking up in the kitchen, and the whole scene was great. And then after it kind of started going down and down and down, I was like saying, when's it gonna pick up? Then every so often there was a couple things after that was funny, but it never picked up for me, after that.
For those of you who want to know, Denise and Diane Gallup were the Doublemint twins of the mid to late 80s that were in the film. There you go, gentlemen. Men of culture, go do your thing.
Yeah, that was a cute scene too. So there was, a lot of, that kind of a comedy in the movie, but not enough. They needed more.
Yeah, this is Mel Brooks we're talking about. I was expecting really good stuff. This felt like a Chevy Chase film.
Yeah, definitely.
There's whole minutes that go by without it being funny, and then we get funny now for 5 minutes, then it falls apart because this person leaves the scene, and we're waiting for Barf to get back on screen or Dark Helmet to get back on screen, and it wasn't it. Bill Pullman, he's really a good actor. I don't think he's good for comedy. I think he's really good for the dramatic roles he was in. And as much as some people are going to lament this, I think he really did shine as a president of the United States in Independence Day.
Yeah, I love that movie.
Crappy alien invasion film from 1950s with better special effects. Yeah, Bill Pullman, that kind of saves that film. And think about it, the best scenes of that movie are with Bill Pullman, and maybe the crazy guy that takes his biplane into the UFO.
Well, the thing is that he is a good actor, and that's sad about. There was no chemical attraction between the two romantic characters. There should be. There's something there. So I just wasn't impressed with her. I just didn't think she was very good for that part. But John Candy was to me was the top billed person in this movie when it came to comedy. He was funny. His character was entertaining, and so was Rick Moranis. He did what I expected him to do. He made me laugh in this movie, and I got a few chuckles here and there from some of the other characters. But if you took those two characters out of this movie, or those two actors, the movie would be totally nothing. I probably wouldn't even have laughed hardly at all at any of it, because they were the two reasons why this movie was good. And the actress that what was her name again? The real pretty blonde?
Daphne Zuniga. Oh, yeah, the real pretty blonde? Leslie Bezin? Yeah.
Leslie. Yeah. Was she in the Hamburger movie? Was that the lady that was moaning at the table at the restaurant?
God, that would be great if it was. Let me look here.
I don't know, but she was attractive too, remember?
Mm-hmm.
And she was a pretty good actress, so that's what I said for a second. That's who it could.
Don't make fun of Hamburger the motion picture. That's a fucking great movie.
I mean, I'd never seen it until you made me watch it. It was funny. I laughed.
That was a good super chat. That was a great super chat. She was in. Ooh.
It wasn't her. It was someone else.
I'm scrolling through.
Okay, I'm sorry.
She's on an episode of Hardcastle McCormick. So if that means anything, she did 2 episodes of New Mike Hammer, Street Hawk, V the series, After MASH, Who's the Boss, Hardcastle McCormick, Kate Secret, Falcon Crest. No movie.
No
By
hamburger movie.
no
Oh
hamburger
well,
picture.
but she reminded me a lot of that woman.
I don't blame you. She reminded me of a lot of people. And it's like, yes, for all of them.
But the thing is, it was that, I can only give you the information that I felt from after watching this, what jumped out at me and what, didn't. So, I was wanting more and I didn't get it. So maybe I put too much on wanting something more out of it. But, it was a Mel Brooks movie. Who wouldn't put more on it?
Yeah, Mel Brooks. I'm going through his. No, not that. Give me the producers. Give me the producers. Okay. He's doing History of the World Part 2.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's the series, and apparently it didn't do well. It's only a 5.6. Animated series for Spaceballs was made back in 2008 and 9. Daphne Zuniga resumed her role. By the way, he did mention in the DVD commentary that he kind of felt bad about all the Jewish jokes, but he's really happy he left them in there. And there's a lot of
that's what I said. There was tons of Jewish jokes in this movie, which I don't think you could do today. I mean, you can't make fun of anything anymore. It seems like you can't make a movie and laugh at people anymore, or laugh at someone's religion, or make cracks about anything. It's just like, so, to get a movie like this today would be, you wouldn't even get that, it's just not going to get something funny.
It'd be Rosie O'Donnell playing Bruce Wayne or something. Some twisted bullshit that we know couldn't happen. The last funny movie he did was Dracula Dead and Loving It, and that movie still scored low on IMDb. He produced the remake of The Producers, which is a 1970s amazing film with Gene Wilder. Got Robin Hood Men in Tights. That scored pretty well, 6.7.
Yeah.
Baseball surprises me on IMDb. They gave it a 7.1. That's really high for me. I can't give it that. I'm giving it a 65. Be happy with the 65. I was thinking initially a 60, but I'm like, no, it at least has to have a solid 3 stars in it. So I did it. I bumped it a little bit, but I want this movie to be so much better. And I hate this movie for the fact that there's whole parts of time where I'm just painting figurines, not laughing. And I hate that.
I was so sad about it.
Every other aspect of it, I'm sure catering was good. I'm sure the on-set hijinks was fucking great. But as far as the movie's concerned, like, this movie could be like, this is a low point for Mel Brooks. And I didn't want this to be, because he'd done other good movies. He'd done he'd done the cowboy, he'd done the horror and suspense with Young Frankenstein. He even did the silent movie shit with the Silent Movie, and that's not bad. But this movie, like, I don't know. Like, and this was the 80s. This was the peak comedy. We had just had, like, Airplane 1 and Airplane 2 the same, like, in the last 7 years.
Yeah.
And how do you, like, you want to be memorable? Like, we're making a comedy movie. Be fucking funny. And I don't know what happened to the script on this. The script just, Mel Brooks wrote it, and must have had, like, a lot of, like, nights where he stayed up too late, was watching some old episodes of the Tortellis or something. It just didn't hit.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems like for some reason he works so hard to help other movies, other people's stories or whatever, become successful, but he doesn't put the same amount of effort in the movie he directs. I don't know. You know what I mean?
I disagree with that, because he directed
on this one movie is what I'm saying. He works so hard on these other ones, and then he comes to his movie and he leaves all these gaps in it. See, he must have had a lot of stuff going on in his life at the same time that he was making this movie, because I'm just trying to understand why he would have such a buffet of actors and a group of people around him, and then let it have all these holes. I don't know. It just, to me, it doesn't make sense to have a buffet but only put fruit on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. Because besides his script, I can't find any other reason in the with the characters or the costumes or anything else. I can't find any other flaws of why the script would be so bad. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make any sense that it's that bad. There had to have been something going on. It's the only thing I could think of.
Yeah.
Is that a Mel Brooks movie right there too?
Nope. Wolf Media was asking about Hot Shots Part 2, and that was 1993, my friend. 1993, a fantastic year.
Mm-hmm.
It's all right. The 80s, yeah, miss the 80s culture. We don't belong in the age bracket where we're at. All the favorites are keeling over from old age, and it makes you aware of how old we are. And two, like, time is just a relentless wall. It smashes you, and it just, you're not going to get the things you want. You got to work for what little you get, and I mean, you got to bust your ass for it. So. Yep. That's kind of the theme of my life right now.
Anything worth having and keeping is something you work for, because putting a little work in for it and earning, it as you go makes it more that you want to hold on to it, that you want to take good care of it because you worked hard for it. If someone just hands you something all the time, it gets to where I don't want to get political or anything, but you look around at some of these apartment complexes and stuff where people get to live for free. There's trash everywhere, graffiti on the walls. The place is trashed because it has no meaning to them. Doesn't mean anything. When you work hard and you buy a home, you want to, you're about to buy a home one day, and then you'll want to mow and paint and keep your yard looking nice.
Might want to pull up. You let me correct you on something. I mowed a lawn from the age of 10 to the age of 18, and then when I got back from the service again until my 30s. Mm-hmm. My parents always threw me the lawnmower, which I look at a lawnmower the same way a runner looks at running shoes. Mm-hmm. I never want to touch one again.
You will. You will. Or you'll hire the kid down the street. But what I'm saying is, you're going to have pride in your yard because it's yours. Yeah. There's a difference. Working hard for something and getting a reward. That's why I used to love watching these different award shows, when people would go up and get it. And especially if it was a really, really good movie or, a TV series or something like that. You were happy to see these people get nominated because you could see the work that they did to go into making it so great that so many millions of people wanted to see it and loved it and went and saw it again. So when a movie like that gets nominated for something, you want to see it win because you know how much work went into it, especially people who understand thousands and thousands of people had to do stuff to get that movie to be successful, to even get it made so that you could watch it. So I don't know. It's just sad to me that there's so much talent in this movie, and if the script had been better, it would have been a better movie. It's just the script was not very good. You said nobody was going to say anything because it's Mel Brooks. So even though they were like, well, this is kind of flat, but I'm not going to say anything because it's Mel Brooks. He knows what he's doing. You see, that's what you would assume. But for whatever was going on with him at the time, it just wasn't up to par for him.
I think he had a lot going on off scene. And
I really think so. Had to have been, because what other reason was there? So,
and I mean, there's a lot of shit to make fun of in Star Wars, like, the brother and sister kissing and making out in the ice of Hoth, which I mean, Mel Brooks could have gone really hard into the paint on that one, like make
Mhm.
Prince Valium her brother, and like they start making out, and then like somebody's like, "Stop! Prince Valium is the son of your twice removed brother, King blah blah blah," and like the entire time, like she's like making the audience hot with the various things that she's doing to poor Prince Valium, played by the very talented Jim J. Bullock, who used to be on the show Too Close for Comfort. Google that. If you want to see fucking elderly people bitching about young people, Ted Knight sells it so hard. You will have PTSD, my 30 somethings. You will
Mhm.
have PTSD. And it's such a good show. And James J. Bullock is a funny man. And his entire action here was just to start to say something. And, yeah, that's funny. That's a good gag. But he hits it 4 times. And I'm like, dude, come on. Come on, man. Come on. Do something funny. You're James J. Bullock. And he doesn't. And that's kind of the entire movie. That's the perfect synopsis of the whole film. And it just like they could have just knocked it out of the park with making fun of the potential incest in Empire Strikes Back. Just so many various things. And this movie just is like whole minutes go by, I didn't laugh. And these miniatures, I mean, I'll show you. I just cleared off the tray of figs off
Uh-huh.
of my and I've already got another stack of new stuff. This is the last 2 weeks. Big ass dragon, little dragon, bunch of
Uh-huh.
people red. Got the Legion character that Chris wanted me to paint up for him. So
Yeah.
can't get the details come out of that, but you know what I'm doing. And so if a show sucks and I'm watching it, you can be damn guaranteed that I'm going to be fucking painting miniatures. Because like there's got to be something else. Like this movie sucked, and I wanted it to fucking hit so hard. And this is like watching okay, 80s kids, Jason the Wheeled Warriors cartoon should have been a banger of a show,
Uh-huh.
but the show sucked. And every time I try to watch it, I get like 6 episodes in, and it just completely sucks. It's got everything. It had a good toy line, although the toy figures sucked. The vehicles were cool. Had a great opening soundtrack and ending soundtrack. It had some amazing talent behind it. The guy that wrote Babylon 5, J. Michael Straczynski, wrote Jason Wheel Warriors, but I watch it and it never ever hits for me, and it just completely falls flat like a flaccid penis in the middle of the opening scene of a porn, and you can't get no veins go.
Oh
It
my God.
sucks so bad. It's so bad. And that's like the comedy level of this film. And I'm not trying to run it through the mud because there's a lot of great things about this film, a lot of great things about Jason Wheeled Warriors, but motherfucker, this shit could have been so much better.
Mhm.
And if
Yeah,
you ever,
he dropped the ball on it. I mean, he
yeah,
really did because I I was I was let down because I was expecting so much more with such a good group of comedians and Mel Brooks.
yeah,
You expect a laugh a minute, or something like that. And I was sad I was, let down a little because I left my rear end off when I first saw Barf, and he's cooking away in the kitchen and going to town. And then he brings food
right?
in and, you know, and then it just didn't get better. It just kind of went, you know, limped along
You have
and
one of the,
laugh and then another laugh. But and then the scene with the lightsaber scene when they're fighting and, with the whatever the Schwartz is or whatever it was he was calling it. It was funny, but it just didn't have a good pace. It was just up and then down and then it stayed down. It kind of limped along. I don't know. It was just,
like a bad porn.
yeah,
Obviously, porn not made by
not
Pfizer.
exciting. It wasn't, a laugh a minute. It wasn't what I was hoping I was going to get with all the hype that I heard about Spaceballs. I was expecting it to be funny all the way through, but it wasn't.
Yeah,
So
You guys are making are probably snickering or something like, like, oh God, Bruce is going off on Pfizer. Yeah, I want to see a porn with Pfizer as the primary fucking pharmaceutical company, because I want to see like maybe 3 or 4 action scenes, and then like both actors like have the fucking COVID heart attack, and it's
Oh,
over.
that,
It's a combination porn and snuff film, and
yeah.
you get everything, dinner and a movie, and you go home and you're like, see, kids, that's why drugs are bad, and you raise a good family.
Yeah. But the thing is, it was nice to see a movie though that made fun of everything, because Mel Brooks was making fun of it seemed like everybody was poking jokes at everybody, and then the whole thing about what was it, when he was talking about he didn't know who he was, abandoned as a baby, all this different stuff, and he didn't know who he was and all that stuff, and then you have the fake Darth Vader saying, I know you, I know who you are. And you're thinking he's going to say something like from the movie, you're my son or whatever type something, or my nephew or what, I don't know, something. And then he just kept going on, my friend of a friend, and my cousin's somebody or whatever. And he just went on and on. And then what does that make us? He went, nothing, absolutely nothing. So see, there was fun. There was funny stuff in there. It's just that there was huge gaps between, and the build-ups to each of the jokes weren't, it just was flat. So I really would be interested in finding out what was going on in his life at the time. Was he working on like 6 other projects? Was he having problems in his marriage? I mean, it's something, because he just didn't seem focused on making sure that the script was for a movie that could have been big. I mean, because Star Wars was huge. You'd think that his Spaceballs would have been big, even though he wasn't going to make a lot of money from, any kind of memorabilia or anything like that.
The part that pisses me off the most is that I'm going to post it in the chat. I'll have to read it, I guess, but George Lucas complimented Mel Brooks and said, if you had not decided to make a parody of Star Wars, but instead went with an honest to goodness, brand new science fiction movie franchise, this movie would have succeeded as a great adventure movie. Brooks said he was extremely flattered by Lucas's compliments and support. And that kind of pisses me off, because George Lucas wrote Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back, and he directed 2 of the greatest movies I've ever seen in my life. I'm never going to say Return of the Jedi is up there, because fuck that movie. But I disagree with that, because this movie is okay. It could have been a really good adventure romp, yeah, but Mel Brooks would have to turn it over to a second director all the damn time to get shit right, because he doesn't direct good action. He's funny. He does good funny a lot, but he's not the action guy. He would have to have like a second unit directed by like Gareth Edwards, or back then Steven Spielberg, to do this, and it would have been something really memorable, And it just, like, the trivia side of the IMDb, I'll post this in chat. You guys can go pick through here. There's some good bones to gnaw on.
Yeah.
I think this movie is like a lot of missed opportunity, and I don't want to beat up on it that much more, because I don't want to make it sound like I absolutely revile this film. If it's on TV, if it's on the internet, and I'm not doing anything, I'm going to watch it. And I think watching it,
I would watch it again. I'm not saying I wouldn't. I mean, there's a couple movies you and I watched that I said, I don't think I'll ever watch it again, because it was really bad, because it was just more than just the script. Just because John Candy and Rick Moranis is in this movie, I would watch it again.
Okay.
Because I love them. I think they're both comedy gold. I mean, they're funny. Even with a bad script, they're funny. So I would watch it simply because of those 2 actors. But I was just let down, because I was expecting something more, a more laughter in this movie, more comedy, than I was receiving. And that's the only letdown for me in this movie. I mean, it's just like I said, the costumes, the actors' quality of acting was great. I mean, it's phenomenal. Everything in this movie, everything was there for the potential of this movie to be huge. That's why I'm sad, because the script wasn't there. Everything else to me was there, except that the script was bad. It just didn't have enough, enough punch. Just didn't have enough punch to make it a comedy gold like it could have. The potential was there because they had 2 movies of wonderful material to make fun of, and great laughs and awesome comedians in this movie. Joan Rivers, I mean, they could have made like a budding romance between Joan Rivers and another character. I mean, there was just done.
No, the funny shit could have been like if Dot Matrix started hitting on Barf because she wanted to have a furry in her.
Yeah,
that would have been
funny. But there was potential. There was so much potential right there, right in front of us. It just went, it just wasn't used. And that's sad to me, because Mel Brooks is a genius when it comes to comedy. There had to have been something going on. That's all I'm saying. Is I wish I'd had more time, before we had a lot more time for us to, dig around, find some good tidbits. But I would like to. I definitely want to look it up and see, because I really think I'm going to write it down real quick so I don't forget. I want to look it up and see if something was going on at the time, because it just seemed, I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense. And I'm pretty good, I think, at saying that there's something was not right, because it just didn't make sense the way it was put together or whatever. And we found out about the fight between the 2 executives at the 2 different movie companies, and it all came back down to Paul Newman and his wife. He got pissed off and said, "F that guy. I'm not going to help him," or whatever. So it was like, battles going on that we don't know anything about. Same thing with that other movie, the pirate movie that was already $60 million in debt.
Or no, you're talking about Cutthroat Island, which
great. And that was a great movie. I loved it. And that's why I said, why wouldn't people think this was a great movie? Why did it lose money? And we had to look into it and found out it wasn't even the movie that had nothing to do with why it didn't make money. It was all people that didn't even work on the movie. They were behind the scenes, the ones that were supposed to pay for shit. And they were all screwing around with the money and stuff before the movie could even, get finished. So, the movie was screwed before it even got put in the movie theaters, So, really, and the sad fact is most people like us, we don't have a way to get in there and find out these details and understand it. Because remember, I was talking about this a couple of weeks back or whatever to somebody, and they said, "Well, I thought that movie was okay. Why was it such a bomb?" And I'm like, "It wasn't a bomb. It was a good movie. It's just because of who made the movie. The company that made it is the one that bombed the movie because they were bankrupt. So they ruined the movie. So the movie was in the Guinness Book of World Records for the biggest box office bomb, not because it was bad, because it was a damn good movie. I've seen, it was better than a lot of movies I've seen, I
agree.
I mean, it was well made, had great actors and everything, but because the executives were out there snorting coke and getting hookers and all the other shit, the movie was in debt, and it ruined a great movie. The potential could have been huge for that movie, huge blockbuster, if it hadn't been for the debt and the company that had done it. So, that's why I'm interested in finding out if something was going on with Mel Brooks at this time that he did this, that he directed this movie, because something was up. It just doesn't make any sense to have so much potential right in front of you and it just gets squandered. It's just, I don't know. This doesn't seem proper.
Let me try to cheer you up a little bit.
Okay.
There's a movie that we're watching next week. And until my schedule changes to what I was originally sold when I first went to this new job, which I'm not saying I don't mind.
It's only been 2 weeks.
It's only been 2 weeks.
Yeah, so I don't want you rushing into nothing. You got to keep.
I want to be great. I want to be really good.
You are. You're gonna do
But
good.
this is a very serious job. It's 12 hours of driving a truck and sucking up grease traps and being speedy all day. So I need
Uh-huh.
sleep. I'm sorry about that. But next week we're going to be reviewing a movie directed by Robert Zemeckis.
Hmm.
That's a pretty good guy. It was
Yeah.
written by Zemeckis and a guy named Robert Gale. And it stars Kurt Russell, Jack Warden, and Garrett Graham. We were watching the 1980 comedy film, which is a classic, Used Car.
Oh, used cars. That's right. Okay.
And we're going to be watching that. And
'Cause I haven't seen this one either.
like snorting hookers, okay, like that's a used car thing. I mean, like that car salesmanship sort of thing to happen. Like most of my friends that sell cars, they experiment with the yayo. Used Cars is a classic fucking movie, and if you're ever in the sales business, this is a movie that's required watching.
Mhm.
That's all I'm going to say. This is a funny little film. I'm looking forward to seeing this. Haven't seen it in over 30 years. Like all the films that I used to watch back in the day when I had a Betamax in the house, like, oh yeah, well, now I don't live with mom and dad anymore, so I don't have those Betamax movies. And I'm pretty certain those Betamax movies are toast. Used Cars, yeah. I appreciate everybody being here today. And Janet, is there anything else in forms of entertainment that you want to discuss things? We
Um,
could go into politics, but that would ruin the stream where we're talking about
yeah,
a comedy movie.
but no, I'm excited about watching this movie. I love Kurt Russell, and I haven't seen it before, so
We
I'm
just
excited.
watched another Kurt Russell film not long ago called Overboard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And if
I like
that's
it.
not one of the funniest romantic comedies of the 1980s,
It
I don't
was
know
good.
what is, but that's got him and Goldie Hawn.
Hmm. And it was a very well made movie, and it was really funny. And it
It,
had Roddy McDowell in it. And I love Roddy McDowell. He's a really phenomenal actor. I loved his movies.
I could watch about every Roddy McDowell film there is. Um,
Very talented.
there's a few actors from the 80s that the more I watch films and I see them like Robert Preston, I want to watch every film he's done.
Hmm.
And I probably need to start with The Sound of Music. But there's movies before that, before he was given that golden opportunity to make himself like everybody's favorite
What was
German
the
poet.
one where he went to town and he's like getting all the people uh, to sing and dance in the streets and stuff, and I cannot remember the name of it. My mom really liked him. And it was not, I don't remember the name of the movie. I can't
You
remember.
turned me on to Robert Preston. I always have loved.
He was wearing a striped suit and he had like a cane and a hat on, and he was singing in the streets with the people and getting them to come out and sing and dance. I cannot remember the name of the movie. It was one of my mom's favorite ones because my mom loved musicals, because she got me to watch Victoria with Robert Preston in it. And then you liked the movie, the video game one, when he was in it.
Yeah, well, of course. I mean that's like a piece of my childhood.
Yeah.
Last Starfighter.
Yeah, The Last Starfighter. But he was just a good actor. He was very, very talented.
Yeah, he's one of the best actors, and sadly he died after 1986.
Mm-hmm.
The last movie he was in was The Last Starfighter, and there's a lot of his character. He says there's a lot of his character from the movie Sound of Music and the character for Centauri, and that was just one of those really.
That's what it was from.
What?
The scene in my head that I'm thinking about from a movie I remember my mother watching, and she had it on a tape or something, and she used to watch it a lot. Maybe that's what it was, Sound of Music. And was he wearing like a red and white striped outfit?
I think so.
A hat and a cane? That might be it then, because I just remember my mom loving that movie and watching it with my grandma in the living room. And I don't remember how old I was, but I remember her watching it and liking it. I mean, enjoying it, laughing and smiling a lot. So I just remember that, and him wearing that outfit and dancing, around with other people in the street. I just remember that one scene. So she just really liked Robert Preston movies.
Robert Preston's such a good actor. I mean, he's one of those few actors that you can watch and you can see his stuff when you're a young man. You can see it when you're older, and it will hit really different. I just go through some stills. Julie Andrews, what
Yeah,
a
my
beautiful.
mom loved Julie Andrews too.
I think this might be the film you're discussing because there's a lot of musical numbers where they change outfits.
Uh-huh. If I see it, I'll say that's it. But I haven't seen anything like it yet.
If you're a wealthy individual and you want to see Janet dress up, go ahead and we'll get her sizes approximate. But if you want to see her dress up in a drindle, like I don't think you have a drindle, do you?
No.
Okay.
But if I had time, I could make one because there's no place to rent anything like that here. When I lived in New Orleans,
they're like hundreds, if not thousands of dollars.
Yeah, I know. But isn't she beautiful?
Yeah.
And she had that voice of an angel.
I don't know where the voice came from.
I remember her son was in the movie Victor Victoria as one of the dancers.
Mm-hmm.
For that, we talked about that. Yeah. Oh, there was a nun. I have that. I could wear that outfit. Look at Mother Superior. So
damn it for being a freak. Okay.
I love that movie though. That was a fun review for the Blues Brothers.
God, I miss that guy right there, Christopher Plummer. He's a hell of an actor, and he's one of the Silver Age. I would say he's Silver Age Hollywood. He really he made a hell of a lot of great films.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so many good actors that we've lost.
The Beginners, remember, All the Money in the World, The Insider, like you, those four right there. That's like a day of amazing films. You'd sit in your coziest chair, get up and stretch between, or maybe 45 minutes into a movie, get up, stretch, have an intermission, kiss your spouse, pet their dog, tell the kids go outside, sort of thing. But
yeah,
he was such a good actor. Damn it. Howard Lovecraft and Frozen Kingdom is one of the worst movies I've ever seen. That's a 4.9. I feel so good that movie's at 4.9.
Mm-hmm.
I like Lovecraft. Lovecraft is a really interesting set of eldritch horror stuff, which we'll get into that one of these days. You've already watched a few movies that are like that. Mm-hmm. We are going to watch The Blob here soon. What was the movie you were talking about the other day? You wanted us to review Best Little Whorehouse in Texas?
Yeah, with Dolly Parton and Burt Reynolds. Somebody was talking about Burt Reynolds somewhere, and I was like, yeah. And everyone always says Smokey and the Bandit. I don't know why, but that seems like Burt Reynolds, I guess, is one of his biggest movies or something. But my mother loved Dolly in The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas, and she thought that was a great movie. So I was like, and it's getting close to my mom's birthday again. So I started thinking about, the stuff that my mom and I used to watch, on TV or things like that. So that would be a fun movie to watch. Have you seen it? It's a musical too. They sing a little bit.
Nope.
And it's fun.
You're dragging me into this one, so.
But it's a good movie and it's fun.
Okay. For some reason,
you like Reynolds?
I thought Sylvester Stallone was the lead in this movie.
Mm-mm. I think it's Burt Reynolds, from what I remember. It's been a very long time since I watched it, but I just remember Mom liked Burt Reynolds, so.
Okay. Fair enough. I mean, I like Burt Reynolds as well, but
there was a song that came out with Pitbull and Dolly Parton?
No.
Yeah, it's a song, something about she's singing 9 to 5 and he sings along with her about how it's something. I guess they did it for Women's Day or something. I don't know, but I heard it and I was like, my daughter was playing it in her car and I was like, what? This is the song with Pitbull. I like Pitbull. And I said, but it's got Dolly in it. And they sang together for this song. And I was really surprised. So I downloaded it to my music repertoire. It's pretty good. I'll have to send it to you so you can hear it. Because I don't want to get you in trouble for, music from, this channel. They don't like that stuff.
It happens.
Yeah.
It happens. Appreciate everybody being here today. we've kind of dragged out a few minutes in this, and wanted to discuss some other things that were going on and other movies. So appreciate everybody being here as they were. We got 89 people in chat. Some of you from Twitter, some of you from Janet's YouTube, some from mine. If you can, please give a like, share, and subscribe wherever you're at. Be aware that Janet puts out content all the time, so be very well subscribed to her social media. She has a lot of it. I recommend her on Rumble because you're going to catch Janet saying things over there that she can't say elsewhere.
Yeah.
And just watch yourself. Just keep your head on a swivel.
Mm-hmm.
Janet, do you want to walk us out for the day?
Well, I just want to say thank you to everyone who stopped in to hang out with us. We're sorry that we are changing it from Monday nights like we used to do, but with Bruce's job, it's more important. He needs to, take care of himself and his family, and that's just number one priority. Which is what I would, why I like him so much and why we're such good friends, because he's a good man. And I just want to say thank you to everyone, and I hope that maybe you'll stop by and see me Friday night when we do the Friday Night Shit Show at 9 Central Time. So there you go.
Fantastic. Everybody, thank you for being here today. We will see you soon. If you want more of Janet with her playing Dungeons and Dragons, swing by my channel on Saturday of this coming week. She will be playing her character Luna with the Grizzled Old Vets. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a great day, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Be safe.